going.
This is the 8-9 Combo.
This is the 8-9 Combo. I'm Brett McKay. This is Harry Jones, and this is the Rugby Championship Post-Mortem following Argentina's win over Australia in Sydney earlier today and South Africa's thumping of New Zealand in Wellington just now. How are you travelling right now, mate? I imagine that you're experiencing a feeling not unfamiliar to me from the last few weeks.
It is beautiful. I had sort of a parallel story. You were, because of the time zones or whatever, you were unable to really go crazy with your full volume in your house. I think you said you screamed into a blanket or something.
A blanket, yes.
So yeah, my daughter's back from university this weekend, and she was sleeping on the couch for some reason, and so I had to muffle it in a pillow. I was just sticking on a couch pillow in my face, and then after the third try, I gave up on that, and I just bellowed and decided I didn't care. It was time for her to share my jubilation at 3 a.m.
We were sitting here in my office eating while watching the second half, and there's try after try after try. And my wife just said, "At which point does Harry start screaming in a blanket, do you think?"
I tend to do like more guttural sounds and hurt myself by punching things. I get so excited. And I think for that moment, just so you know, to index it, it was the try of Willemse's try where he cut through, having caught the ball, very bad pass from Money
it wasn't
behind his
pass
head.
At all.
And just smashed. And it was following, I think, a really good accelerating run by either Ethan Hooker or somebody.
Ethan Hooker, yeah.
It just was a magic try. It just felt like a downhill. Here's a snowball coming down the hill, and you cannot stop it.
Yes, that's a good shout. Before we rip into the latest TRC Post-Mortem, mate, please do explain to the lovely people why we'd love them to subscribe to the 8-9 as we edge a little bit closer to 9,000 YouTube subscribers as well.
Well, I think one of the keys of life is to be happy for other people, not just for your own successes. And so this will give you practice in being happy for us, and then we'll be happy for you. And it's reciprocal.
Very cyclical.
Get on our YouTube and on that comment page and just write what you've done and what metric you've reached, and we'll be happy for you. And if we can join you in that, we'll do that too.
Yep. It's all very interlinked. We're all very much interdependent. If you are watching us on YouTube and you haven't yet subscribed, then the little red subscribe button down there in the corner will do that job for you. If you're on any of the pod platforms, then hit follow, hit like, hit subscribe, whatever it happens to be. Make sure your notifications are turned on, and then you're away. Round 4 of the Rugby Championship, mate. And we'll just go straight to Wellington tonight. South Africa 43 have beaten New Zealand 10. This is, by some margin, mate, New Zealand's biggest ever loss at home. The mark previously was 15 points.
It was number-wise the worst, but it also felt like body language was the worst.
Yeah.
I've been watching All Blacks like you have since you've been a wee boy, and you never see that, even when they get beaten, like say by Ireland in the home, or when we've beaten them before in Wellington. It's just a rip-roaring, to the end, white knuckle, like Kieran Reid's knuckles tonight on gripping that microphone. Kieran, calm down, man.
Does Kieran Reid look healthy to you? I know he's lost a lot of weight since
he looks emaciated, but also just like he's like really scared of losing that microphone. I've just never seen that happen. The game started out like any normal game against the All Blacks, at Oranges 10-7. You didn't see the explosion coming. And just like at Ellis Park, I've never seen just a sort of that repetitive, just at home, just getting drilled. So I just, it was almost like I had to check and see if it was real by looking at like New Zealand Herald. Is it been reported? Is this a real thing?
Did this actually happen?
Check two sources.
So knowing that Argentina beat Australia 28-26 in Sydney earlier in front of a sellout crowd, a ground record sellout crowd, in fact, and Australia have quite remarkably picked up 2 bonus points in the effort. How have you come up with a 5-word headline for tonight's post-mortem? Because I found this one really hard.
On straddling, my headline is Razor's Edge lost. Rassie rules. I kept it kind of simple and provocative. I didn't know how to encapsulate what happened with the 2 bonus point forward pass in Sydney.
Yeah.
And the insanity of how the Wallabies seem to be only capable of playing incredible rugby lately if they're down by 14 points, and then they become the best team in the world.
They made it worse though. They were down by much more than that. They were down 28-7 in fact. So they were down by 3 converted tries and they got back to within 2. So my headline, and I came to this interconnectedly from an earlier comment that I made on the socials late in the Wellington game tonight. So my headline is simply: the Rugby Championship is nuts.
Yeah,
it's nuts. So right at this point in time, after 4 rounds, all 4 teams have 2 wins, 2 losses. The table is Australia on 11, courtesy of those 2 bonus points. New Zealand on 10, South Africa on 10, Argentina on 9. And it's quite incredible that now Australia lead the Rugby Championship after 4 rounds on the back of one of the worst forward passes I've not seen pulled up ever.
You're loving bonus points. I hate bonus. I've always hated.
I know you don't like bonus points. I don't like that forward pass.
I especially hate that you get 50% of what you would get from a win from a forward pass. I just think that's crazy to be able to lose and get 2 points. I think you should only ever get 1. I think you should get no bonus points. I'll just stick to that.
You do stick to that.
But the Wallabies are a strange creature of a team right now. They seem to be able to score quicker than any other team in sort of a 7-minute period. Like if that was an Olympic event, then the Wallabies would win that event. They would not be good at the marathon, but the sprint event where you just go crazy. They're really animated when they get down. The crowd was really loud. I will say this:
the crowd was great.
Argentina has got pound for pound, person for person, just some of the best fans. I couldn't believe the volume they put out. They were clearly an extreme minority in there, but they were singing in unison. It was magic. What a great
all down the
game.
southern end. Yeah, all down the southern end of the ground. And when they led 28-7, it just sounded like a Boca Juniors game. It was absolutely
scenes at the end. It was great. Yeah.
Let's come back to that. Let's go back to Wellington. I've jumped the gun in showing that graphic earlier. So 43-10. How do you try and sum up that game? Can you sum up that game?
I think it was an emotional burst.
It's literally a game of 2 halves.
It was stored up burst. I think even in the first half, actually, with Argia driving over and, a fair check, but it was wiped away. And then you had Colby getting dispossessed of that try. You had so many. You had Lewitt's knee. You had Sasha's HIA. You had Fassie's go off. It was just so much disruption that you thought, I know it's 10-7, but it felt like All Blacks were hanging in there.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, that's what people said on New Zealand comms is that was incredible defense. And then a quick strike score for Carter while Sasha was actually prone on the sideline. I think that wide to wide almost ran over him. He got up in the end and started running, but he couldn't run. He's a very quick man, and he couldn't sprint. So it just felt like, and also obviously the All Blacks lost people. My point was that it felt like a dam was going to break, and that if the dam did break, I felt like it would be the All Blacks dam. But I just had never seen it before. I had no evidence in life, in 5 decades of watching them at home. I've never seen them just give up the ghost like that. And so going into second half, I just thought, okay. And then boom, it was that big scrum. It was Sia finding his 5th gear again, finally. Andre with a clean pickup off his toes, and then feeding Colby, who dances in. At 14-10, and then Tupou Vai giving us another 3 to go 17-0 because he's trying very hard to become Tupou villain. It just felt like, yes, the dam might break. And then, Kubas Reinach finally stopped knocking on the ball at the base of the rock. And you just saw things happening. And quite frankly, mate, it was like these things have been planned. I mean, a lot of these systems and shapes in L shapes from sort of the green and the red side, just outside your 22, go zone from 10 meter in. They've been working on that. It's just they all came together. Like at some point, they have to actually click. And what's magic is they all clicked on the same night. I couldn't even pick out one player who had a bad game. I don't know who that would be.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. At 17-10, when Libok kicked that penalty, as you mentioned, to Tupou Vai, Colby went off for his HIA. He was the 4th box HIA that point, and the 5th player to leave the field.
Right.
If a dam was going to burst at that point, mate, I've got to admit, I wasn't sure the box would finish with 15 on the field.
No,
I didn't think they'd have 15 fit players by the end of the game at that strike rate that they were losing them. It was incredible. Like, there was 4 before halftime they'd lost.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Quacker Smith played 60 minutes in the centers.
Yeah. And we shifted Grant Williams to left, brought Ethan Hooker, number 11, over to right because of his size. He was just really getting the kicks, which tend to fall from both Kubas and Mani on the right side of the field.
Yeah.
He had so many clean takes. And not only that, he was wrestling people and then presenting. This is a 2-cap buck, first full game. That
break he made down the field was really impressive.
The speed he showed, he doesn't present as a guy who's going to have those wheels. Also, I think, the lineout was not really great. However, the All Blacks lineout wasn't either. So that canceled each other out. So I wasn't so worried this time about the lineout. Well, we're stealing their lineout. They're stealing our lineout. We're missing a few.
Your lineout neutral.
Yeah. So it was more about the high ball still not solved by the All Blacks, not even close to being solved. There's something about their shape. Maybe it's personnel, but they are not claiming those kicks with enough reliability to go north on the end of year tour and manage it against France. I mean, they're going to get eaten unless they can figure out what they're doing with their back three. I don't know if it's a Damian McKenzie thing. I don't know. I don't know because it just doesn't seem solid. Yeah. And that it wasn't solid in Auckland either, but they just survived it. So this thing came back to roost. The other thing I would say is the breakdown, which in Auckland was definitely an All Black win. It didn't feel like that tonight. I'd have to go back and look at it, but it felt like guys like Peter Steph Toy had murder in their eyes.
So typically I would ask as we're going through this what worked well for the winners, but you've just outlined it very, very, very well there. What worked well for the winners was everything. Everything went well for the Box tonight.
Well, and resilience to recover from the things you just listed.
Absolutely.
A lot of teams who lose 4 to HIA.
5 players in the first 45 minutes, whatever it was. They're not coming back from that. Yeah, exactly. So you've touched on a few areas there. What didn't go so well for New Zealand tonight? Their set piece was certainly in trouble, and I don't think their defense held. It fell apart.
So for sure, their scrum, which was a problem in Auckland, was still a problem. So that wasn't a fix in the week intervening. There was. I'd have to go back and look exactly what fell apart on the defensive scheme, but it felt like they were opened up in the middle and in the trams and in the wides, and so I couldn't even pick one. I just think
but that happened all game. Colby ran up through the middle. When Rassie made a break early on, and that was up through the middle. Even then, when Damien Willems scores that try that had you screaming into a pillow, that was up through the middle.
Exactly.
They were opened up everywhere. And then you mentioned body language there before.
I suppose that's what it was. So obviously the scheme held in the first half, but there was something when the dam broke where I didn't see scramble. I didn't see people corner flagging. It was a little bit too easy beyond 17-10. From that point on, it felt like once there was a break, especially up the middle, like you said, it felt like there was always someone right on their shoulder, and it just sort of steamrolled them. And I think that would be the most dispiriting thing, the most discouraging thing was that.
Yeah. The attitude that drives scramble defense didn't look like it was there. And I can't believe I'm saying that about an All Black side. I tell you the most uncomfortable thing for me in this win, mate. The All Blacks' next game is a Bledisloe Cup test.
You're welcome. Welcome to the backlash.
Thanks a fucking lot.
Yeah, they're going to be filthy about this, but also there's
going to
some
stew on it for 2 weeks,
because
and they're going to come out of Eden Park, and holy crap, there's going to be a reaction.
The Wallabies, I mean, just in the 2 games that I have as a reference point, and I've been to 3 of the 4. So the Boks playing these 2 old adversaries, the Wallabies look better. They look starchier in big moments. Even at Auckland, having to hang on, on their try line with the Artie Surveyor steal. I just felt like even the Cape Town match against the Wallabies, I don't know, it just felt like it was a bit tougher. And there's something about these particular Wallabies that they don't know how to lose. They don't lose easy.
Yeah,
And,
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So here we saw the All Blacks not only lose easy, they in a way, by the end they sort of were matadors, like
record losing margin. Yeah,
yeah.
To the point that when Ikea Sneeman scored his try, holy moly, wasn't he well celebrated?
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
I just always find him so funny anyway. And so when he started loping into space, and you actually thought he's going to go all the way, all I was thinking is, what type of try celebration are we about to see? But it didn't get to, because he just got mobbed.
Yeah. My favorite try of the lot might actually be Quokka Smith off Peter Steph Dutoy. So if you the wide angle showed it really well. Peter Steph Dutoy is out wide. He's calling for the kick. Kick comes up, it takes it easily, but then suddenly goes to ground. And in the wide shot, at the moment that he is just about to catch it, Quagga Smith suddenly realizes, ooh, I need to support this. And he bolts for the corner, absolutely flies for the corner, to the point that Peter Steph Dutoy just throws a pass from the ground up like that. Momentum takes Quagga into the corner. It was just a really well-worked, smart try.
It was a great try, and it was almost a duplicate of another one where Peter Steph did the same thing. I think with Marika Korobete was his marker then, but he missed the offload. Yeah, and to Jesse Creel, I think it was. And so this was a carbon copy, and then he nailed it. So I think all the time was like, right. Yes. My favorite try, when I would just think about it, sort of in the larger scheme, I love the Archia thing. I love the Willemse thing, but I like that final one where Andre Eshuizen bleeding heavily. Yeah. After Willemse has glided through the defense, just like, hot knife through butter. Grant Williams comes and steps on his left foot, comes in and finds Andre. And Andre looks, I forget if it was Geordie or Bowden, but he looked for someone to shoulder and just smash. It would not be Esterhuizen try if he went in untouched, which he could have, I think.
It was too funny. Yeah.
I gotta find somebody.
A quick last point on this game. Will Jordan grounded that ball short in the 76th minute, and he knew it straight away, and grounds it like nearly half a meter short. A nod to Paul Williams, our Welsh writing colleague, who just posted, well, there's Will Jordan's error for the calendar year done early.
That sounds about right. It
does sound about right.
Gifted. Yeah. And what's funny about that is, for all the world, because of his history of scoring tries, he would have thought he had that. I mean, he would I think he was thinking,
he would have just been thinking, oh no, I just have to reach out and momentum will take care of it. And he's reached out and he's gone, no, I'm a foot short.
Speed kills you, man. Yeah, Grant Williams is quick.
Absolutely. Argentina 28, Australia 26, in front of the best part of 42,000 people in Sydney, a ground record for the rebuilt Sydney Football Stadium. How do you sum up that game? It was a scoreline that flattered Australia, really didn't do justice to how good Argentina were for 65 minutes of this game.
Yeah. It's funny because I do think that Australia is a little bit deeper than Argentina right now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that either team are as deep as either the All Blacks or Springboks,
No,
but
I would
they
I would
seem to be
disagree
able
with you
to
if you were.
put together a bench, and it just seems like Argentina's got to learn how to hang on. And they just about did it this time. They just about
Yeah.
did it. I don't know if they look back on this one, if they can really analyze, how smart and clever they were. It's a bit of luck here and there, and fantastic goal kicking by Carreras.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
flushing that ball just perfectly with that gentle draw. I thought I think the
8
field
from 8 from the
position
tee, yeah.
was probably the key. I have it down as 59%. I know everyone has different percent, but I thought the territory comes in around 59 to 60%, and that was really important. So that
In
all the little
Argentina's favour.
yeah, and that because the ball was 50-50, possession
Yeah.
50-50, but just being in the right areas allowed
Yeah.
for every mistake that you guys made, and you kind of returned to bad habits of 14 penalties, which you've been 4 penalties, 5 penalties, 6 penalties. Suddenly there was this kind of return of that, and that they were kickable. There were so many of those were kickable
Yeah.
because they were playing mostly in Wallaby half. So that
Yeah,
was to me
absolutely.
the story of the game.
No, when the fact that that Carreras kicks 7 penalties just absolutely highlights that. And in addition, I would say that of the 4 Australian tries, I think all of them have come from outside the Argentinian 22, and maybe, only just inside the half.
Yeah,
Certainly,
line break tries.
Suolii's
They were
coming
line
from
breaks.
a long way. Kellaway's coming from a distance. Dalgunu's first one, at the very least, coming from a distance as well. So, yeah, look, they got up to such a good start. The Los Pumas, they score that. Excuse me. Just Suoliti scored first, and that was quickly followed up by Julian Montoya kicking, charging down Nick White's kick, and that was just a perfectly opportunist try. Suoliti had scored just before that, and he's looking more and more dangerous in open space. Since we've discussed it numerous times, since they made that shift during the line series to play to him early, to play to him before the gain line, he's looking much more dangerous as an attack
He's
now.
Yeah, absolutely a weapon on attack. He's still got to work on some things. I have him down
In his defense,
as
absolutely.
three turnovers lost, and I think that's part of it. The problem is just sometimes knowing when to be boring, because he's such an exciting player that he's got the same problem that I think you were highlighting about Hunter Paisami. Is sometimes you just want guys to do the boring thing. Can you just do the boring thing? You don't have to do crazy stuff all the time.
You don't have to try and win a game in the 27th minute with an offload. There was and look, I was certainly talking about Hunter Paisami on our chat group, but there was way too many blokes who were looking for way too many offloads in the wrong position of the field.
This was a
too
team
much
loss.
Traffic.
It was whatever we're talking about
it
right
wasn't
now
down
was
to anyone.
ubiquitous. So many people had
Absolutely.
these speculative. By the way, we know for sure that Joe Schmidt hates bad offloads, so I would expect that this week's going to be rough.
And you mentioned Hunter Paisami. It was noticeable that in the second half he was not trying to get an offload away. So he took the halftime rocket on board and tightened that part of his game up, and that's credit to him. But yeah, there was. I mean, what worked well for Argentina? Well, again, just about bloody everything, because they were getting good offloads away. They were finding blokes in space. They were creating space for themselves. They were making line breaks. They were. Their back three was superb in attack, I've got to say. Saying they won the aerial contest chronically undersells how much they actually dominated it. I don't think Australia won one of maybe 10 or a dozen aerial contests. So they were superb in the air, Argentina.
Grazer breakdown. And how quick is Gonzalez?
Oh,
ridiculous.
So quick.
You cannot believe he's a forward sometimes when he's running, because he runs smoothly. There's some forwards who are quick, but they look ungainly. He looks proper, like a sprinter. I think, every time they got it to their sort of third pass, their outside channel, they looked wicked. I know they didn't score a bunch of tries, but that's not the point. Those were fair and square. Attack one, rock penalties. They had the Wallabies under pressure. And, and Harry Wilson knew it. You could tell he was just almost sometimes stalling for time. Like, I'm just going to keep talking to the ref for a while. So,
yeah. Well, can you check that? Yeah, no, we've checked that. It's all fine. Okay, what about this? Can you check this? Yeah.
At some point, the ref was like, "Go away, Harry.
Yeah.
Just go away."
Harry, you've just wasted 2 minutes on Max Jorgensen yellow card. Can we play some rugby again, please? Yes. There was a bit of that. There was a bit of that going on. Argentina will fly back to South America. Los Pumas will fly back to South America, and it will be a happy trip. And they'll have 2 weeks to build up for. They go to Durban first, don't they? So they might, if they're lucky, they might have 3 or 4 days at home. And they go to South Africa, but they'll enjoy it, and they should enjoy it because it was a superb win. It was a superb win. Australia, on the other hand, have probably got a couple of days off, and then they've got a tough week ahead going into the first Bledisloe.
That's such an opportunity missed for you guys.
Yeah.
Like, just you imagine exactly everything happened the way it happened in Wellington, but you guys handle your business and win. This thing, it was halcyon, heyday, Wallabies is back. Right now, it's more like a chastening, like, ooh, wait, did we get ahead of ourselves? Now we're in a proper dogfight, and we have to face our freaking flipping Bledisloe guys. So I do think it's something that Joe will probably just wake up, middle of the night, a couple nights in a row, and go, "Arr!"
Ah, crap, we did that. Yeah, I think you're right.
We could have put distance in front of some.
I have the conscious thought in the back of my mind that if there's a good time for a Wallabies loss going into a Bledisloe series, maybe is it. Because it just completely removes any chances of anyone getting ahead of themselves.
Yeah.
And anyone thinking, we can just do, look, we've beaten South Africa, we've beaten Argentina, we can just do what we do and we'll beat New Zealand in New Zealand. Nope, It's not going to work that way. So if there's a silver lining, maybe this loss might not be such a bad thing. It doesn't feel like that right now, but in a few days' time.
Yeah, but you had the inside track if you want. So you'd have so much, you could actually have pressure on All Blacks because they would face not only losing the Bledisloe for the first time in forever, but also, facing and maybe an ascending Wallabies. So now we're all back in the swamp. It's 2-2-2-2-2.
Yeah.
Start over.
11-10. 11-10-10-9. Yeah. Everyone's back on 0.
We start now.
It's a 2-game shootout. Yeah. I put it to you that right at this point in time, South Africa are favourites for the Rugby Championship.
Now, yes. I think if you'd held serve, you would have been. But now, because we have 2 games against Argentina, one in South Africa and one in London.
One in Twickenham,
and Twickenham is just basically, it feels like Joburg North.
I don't know. Can you imagine how many South Americans are going to pack?
I know, but we just always win Twickenham. Yeah, we'll handle them. So, I think that's probably true. Like you can.
There's a bit of that. There's a bit of that South African arrogance creeping back in there, I think.
I mean, but it's more the type of South African that lives in Richmond and Twickenham, and Southwest London.
The arrogant type. Yeah, gotcha.
I don't know, just powerful. So I think we should handle our business, and we know the template for it. We know, like someone said, you put all your money, your house on. Could you beat Argentina twice? We'd say we can do that.
Yeah.
You have to go do this with the All Blacks, and All Blacks, very shaky now, have to face this really thorny Joe Schmidt-led, smart, savvy team. That's not the same team as it was a year ago.
New Zealand would be saying, we will sacrifice the Rugby Championship, but we will not be letting go of the Bledisloe Cup.
Absolutely.
But the danger is, the nagging feeling in the back of their mind, even if they won't admit it, is going to be they might do both.
Yeah. It's poised. It's fascinating. Yeah. It's the best Bledisloe.
Yeah, it is.
Too.
It is.
Yeah. Because I don't think you guys, because of watching the Lion series and game 2 and game 3, and then the 2 games against the Boks, I have belief that this is a different version of the
Oh,
Wallabies,
no, there's no
and
doubt.
that you will take
there's no doubt.
the All Blacks to the woodshed, and they're going to come out, bruise them. I don't know who's going to win, but there's going to be bruising and battering going on.
God, let's hope so. Righto, that's 2 weeks away. Let's worry about that then. Anything else to add in here?
That's it, man. Great round. Excellent round.
Crazy.
One of the best matches I've seen in my life. Probably the best. Yeah, it was probably the best. It was the best sporting event ever. I'm just kidding.
In the world.
Ever
that
played.
then is the TRC Post-Mortem behind us. Tell us what you think by following Harry and I on the socials. Find the 8-9 on the socials as well. And you can have your say on the 8-9 YouTube channel. You can have your say on Spotify as well if you so desire. We would love to hear from you. Shares, ratings, reviews, wherever you can as well. This is the 8-9 combo, the short side set piece combination you didn't realize you needed in a rugby podcast. We'll be back midweek for a quick tap and go, but that will be us in the coming week. I'm actually out of action later in this week with a family matter, so we'll do a quick one and then that'll be us done. I'm Brett McKay. He's Harry Jones. He's quite happy this time, and we will be back in your ears in a few days' time for another great short rugby chat.
Come rejoice with us.
Here goes Jones with another bruising run. He links up with McKay, who pops back to Jones. They can't. They won't. They will. What a try. The Dream Team combo go in again.